You know, one of the things you got to think about when you're topwater fishing is what your line setup's going to be. There's several different ways you can go, and a lot of times it's actually personal preference as to which one's the best. You got to get out there and fish it. I'm going to talk about the different ways you can do it. First of all, you can go with just pure mono. That's what's on this rig. I've got a Sexy Dog on here. This is Sunline Shooter Defier. This is 17-pound test. And the cool thing about mono is mono floats. So when you're actually fishing this bait, it will not sink the bait. You can't fish topwater fluorocarbon with topwater very well because it'll actually sink the bait down in the water. But mono works pretty good, but there's some drawbacks to mono. There's a lot of stretch to it. Sometimes if you make a really long cast, it won't work the bait quite as effectively because there's a little bit of bend. The good things about it is obviously it floats. You can get it in this green color, which looks really, really good. And the other thing is that when you're working it, or when you're making a really long cast with it and you're hurrying to get to something like schooling fish, the loops won't create, you won't create loops in your spool and actually have a backlash. It's a little bit more forgiving line. It's so much fun right there. When you watch them like that, I mean, it's like fish in slow motion when they bite like that. They come up and it's like, you know, they're coming, and it's just like they're in slow motion. It is so much fun. You know, there's nothing like catching bass on topwater. The other way to go is just with straight braid. On this right here, I've got 35-pound BX2. This is just straight braid right here, and I tied actually to the bait. Now, when you tie to this bait right here, it lets the bait work a little bit easier. I like the way the bait works with just straight braid. The drawbacks to straight braid are every once in a while your hooks are going to get hooked up just a little bit more. The other drawback maybe is if you're really trying to wing a cast out there fast, maybe a fish bust or schooling fish, and you get that loop in there, it'll backlash. So there's kind of give and take. You got to personally do it and actually figure out which one's the best. I personally like braid if I can get away with it. The other rig I've got here is actually a pop and perch, and on this pop and perch, I always fish braid. I love a braid with any kind of frog style bait, maybe even a toad style bait, something that buzzes on the top. I like braid with a buzz bait a lot of the times also. So you can go any different direction, figure out what's the best for you, see if it works, feel what a fish is like on there, and then go to that. Oh, that's a good one. Heck, the cool thing about it is they're all good. Man, that's a pretty fish.